How's it going, YouTube? In today's episode of Darius' Garage, we're going big, real big, with these 6-piston F85 X5M brake calipers for my 6 Series. For the long-time viewers of the channel, you'll probably remember that time that I did the 4-piston E70 X5M big brakes on my dad's 550 F10. Unfortunately, that F10 550i was sold quite a while ago, and that big brake kit now lives on my dad's F13 X5 daily driver, and I'm stuck with stock single piston brake calipers on my stage 1 tuned 650i. The stock brakes are just not up to the task. I took it to my local racetrack a couple times. Brakes absolutely did not like it. They glazed, they now shake, and they're just not really a good time and not confidence inspiring while I'm driving this car. So it came time to upgrade the brakes, and of course the inner child of me said, obviously go with the biggest brakes that you can, go with the biggest rotor size and the biggest piston count, because why not? So of course I went with the F85 X5M brakes, which are a step up above the 4-piston E70 X5M brakes. The added benefit of these brakes, on top of them just being the biggest ones that you could possibly stick on a car like this, is that they have a lot of aftermarket brake pad support. A lot of the upgraded brake options for these cars unfortunately don't have that good aftermarket brake pad support, including the stock brakes, the E70 X5M, and also the 760 Li brakes. They also don't really have that good of brake support, and so I really wanted that option because I want to test more brake pads. I've tested basically all the brake pad options that I could possibly get my hands on for these cars, and so now it's time to get something else. For those of you that have been watching in the recent weeks, you would have probably noticed that I restored a pair of these calipers, and yep, these are the exact same ones. They're going to be going on the 6 Series. So without further ado, I think let's stop chit-chatting and let's put these guys back together and then put them on the car.
I'm not going to go too much into the assembly of these brake pads, simply because it's just like any other F10 M5 or F85 X5M brake pad swap video. But I will say that there is a bit of a drawback with these particular brake calipers as compared to the E70 X5M brake calipers, simply because it's more difficult to service. You need to remove the caliper from the vehicle in order to get the brake pads out, which is not true for the E70 X5M brake calipers because you can slide the pads out from the top. Although the calipers between the F10 M5 and F85 X5M are identical, the reason why I choose the F85 caliper is quite simple, and that is because they include the bracket which you can actually bolt up to your non-M car versus the F10 M5, which actually has a spindle that it directly bolts onto. We don't have that type of spindle on the non-M 6 Series, so we need to use a more traditional bracket. And so you can buy these adapters online, but it's an additional cost. So I just chose to go with a factory brake caliper that already comes with that bracket, and in doing so, I saved myself a little bit of money. The other thing that I did differently as compared to when we did the E70 X5M brake caliper system on the F10 is that I used a E70 X5M rotor, ironically, and with this type of rotor you use the exact same type of rotor mounting screw, and so you don't need to drill out stuff or buy yourself special screws just to make it fit. You just reuse your existing screw. Before you install your rotor, make sure you test fit your caliper just to see how much your dust shield needs to be trimmed. In my case, it was about 1 inch off the end of it. And with the plain rotor face design, the braking is a lot quieter. You have a lot less of that rumble when the brakes are applied as compared to the later F85 X5M drilled rotors. The F85 front brake system swap onto the F13 is remarkably similar to the E70 X5M brake system swap that we did on the F10. You have the exact same washers that are needed to space out the brake caliper. You need to sandwich this washer between the brake caliper and the spindle. I sourced my washers from the screws that came with my brake calipers. So there's a little washer at the end of the screw that's basically non-removable. So I had to cut the screw in half and that allowed me to remove the washer from the screw. I did have to drill out the center because obviously they don't clear the threads. And once my makeshift washer was installed in the proper spot, everything lined up perfectly and there was no binding or fouling of any components. And now we're gonna tighten up these bolts. I already torqued the big back bolts to spec. Well, my spec that is. I just set them to 80 pounds. These guys, I'm not doing them with a torque wrench, I'm just doing by feel. Tight enough. And then it was time to bleed the brakes. So to bleed the brakes, I, for the first time ever, used a Motive power bleeder. This is the best thing that you can do. If you've never used one before, I highly recommend it. And as for the order that I bled the brakes in, I went from the furthest away to the closest to the reservoir. So I started with the right front wheel and then inside to the outside on both. And as for the fluid that I selected, I just went with the fresh .4 fluid straight off the shelf. Bought it the same day that I installed it. Made sure it was a sealed pack. And that's all you really need. You don't need anything else. And then it was time to install the wheels. So some of you may be asking what wheels fit and what wheels don't. In my case, my wheels fit, even though they're 19-inch, but for a lot of people, they find that 20 inch is the minimum. And the key here is, depending on the barrel design, the non-M specific ones, so like the standard 19-inch 6 series wheels or 5 series wheels, they will not fit with this brake setup. However, if you have M specific wheels that are factory M or some aftermarket wheels that are 19-inch, they will fit. So for example, my style 408Ms, which are winter wheels, factory M5 winter wheels, they fit even though they're 19-inch. And as well as my M4 CS wheels, my factory M4 CS wheels, style 763M. Even though they're 19-inch, they also clear the brakes. It is very close in terms of, the distance between the caliper and the wheel barrel, but it does fit and it does spin freely. No modifications were required. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.